And I'll just ask, can you see my slides?
Yes, they look great.
Okay, thanks. So I'm Richard Reeve. I was told to keep it short, so I hope wasn't able to attend the morning, so I hope I've hit the mark on the number of slides and the amount of time. The session I'm going to do, or the presentation I'm going to do, is about something I've been developing for quite some time within the Faculty of Education program, and I'll talk about what it's housed within as far as our program. And the idea, the first word is the most important word, is designing. And so hopefully through the next hour and a half, as you're thinking about my presentation and the work going on at the Faculty of Ed, you'll be thinking about design and education as a designerly pursuit, if you will. So, it's probably really slow. Is it? Okay. Okay, so the overview. So I do want to position it kind of in a designerly way, just about the problem that we're dealing with in education. I am a faculty member responsible for educational technology and the learning of educational technology by students in our program. The relevance of designing, I'll look at the courses, the partners that were involved in this. Two types of projects that we did. One we called inreach, the other we called outreach. And a word I made up, and I own the URL for, so it's mine. And just that idea of prototyping being an activity that students can engage in. I'll try to give you two quick examples at the end, but I'm probably going to run out of time. So one of the problems we have is with technology. It's called the law of instruments. You've seen this. Anytime you have a hammer in your hand, all you see around you is nails, coined by Maslow. And when we see technology, educational technology, we often think that the idea of how it's to be used and what it's for was predetermined by the designers or the builders of it. And this is often not the case. Yet we have this law that we tend to apply. Another is that use determines effectiveness. And so we're all dealing with masks these days. So I just pulled this quickly off the web. And there's many ways that you can use it, but none of them, as far as these examples, are improving the effectiveness of the mask. And so how you use something gives meaning to it. It has a very pragmatic sense and can actually affect its effectiveness. And the last one I just wanted to raise, which we've all heard of, wicked problems. But Horst Riddle actually also went on to say they're design problems. And this part is, I think, the most interesting for the work that I'm doing. Part of the art of dealing with wicked problems is the art of not knowing too soon which solution to apply. In design terms, this is thought of as a novice approach to design, that we cut to the solution too quickly because we presume we know the solution. And so in my own work with my students, we see that novice approach often, where they presume they know what that technology was made for, or they presume they know what the use scenario is that needs to be applied, and they just go for it quickly, and they don't spend time on the problem. So I've been using Stanford D School's design thinking framework, again, something that's fully across our campus in many instances. We can usually get through one iteration of this process. A key feature of it is the empathizing at the beginning, kind of doing an ethnography with the clients that we pull into our courses. We spend a lot of time thinking about the defining of the problem. And less so actually with ideating. We move fairly quickly once we have a fully vested idea of the problem through some ideas and prototypes and testing. Again, we're dealing usually with very short windows of about 2 to 3 weeks with these projects that I'm going to describe. When we were face-to-face, I didn't actually pull off a picture of us on Zoom doing this, but we would have a studio space, and it had very much a studio feel, so a designerly space, if you will. And the two types, just to say, of projects that we did were kind of in reach, where I was using faculty members as the clients. And so within the course that I'll describe next slide, we were engaging those faculty members in things that are difficult to teach, difficult to learn, really the powerful things that technology could be brought to bear on that would make us make it a worthwhile pursuit to use technology to solve. And we also did outreach projects where we engaged a client school, Albert College in Belleville, and we did several projects with them. I'm going to just feature the in-reach projects. And the design work often, is shown here in this slide, comes out in several forms, but one can be a video, and I'll show you one of those. This is all within the concentration in educational technology. It's built on 2 courses in the faculty. There's an Ed Studies course, which is about background and basic skills, and there's a foci course, which is basically our outreach course, our course connecting students to the field. All of the students now, because the ministry mandated it, have to take a very short course on using educational technology as a teaching and learning tool. So I introduced some of these ideas about designing, but it is very short. And so it's only in the foci course that I'm able to sort of get into these design iterations. I want to acknowledge Scia, who last year, just at the beginning of the pandemic, stepped up and actually purchased our 400 students these microbits on the right side. And we mailed them all across Canada, one to each of the students. They were worth about $20. And the students were able to have these microprocessors that can be coded. And this is actually very relevant for Ontario, because now coding has been added to the elementary curriculum, math curriculum, and so coding is a real concern as far as educators are concerned. And I'd also like to acknowledge Scott Compo at Queen's Connections, who supported the microbit and coding instruction within the courses, because we have 400 students, and you know, there's a lot of coding instruction that needs to happen, and they were very helpful in making that happen. So the Prototyporium, the name is there. I'll just say that how we use some of the resources available. We utilize the separate on-cue space for collaboration with clients. Obviously, our in-service clients or in-house clients were able to access it. We still have not figured out how the clients outside, like Albert College, would. Really no collaboration with the clients occurred, so that was neither here nor there. But what it did ensure was that the students didn't feel that their design work was locked into the course, because we do have rules about course material and things that students produce. And there was a very clear understanding that this was outside of the course. This was for public consumption eventually, and there was that look and feel to that, and this space gave us a bit of relief to that. We did use the discussion forums to engage in that discussion. The outreach work is on the left side, and the left side is the in-reach projects that we did with our faculty members, and the outreach projects are on the right. STEM, we made a very deliberate move to address the arts and humanities in addition to STEM. So, and Scia was actually quite supportive of this idea that we would be looking at coding across the curriculum. The outreach projects actually got into citizenship and adventure, how to encourage students who are at home to engage in an important adventure in and around their neighborhoods. Documentation, maybe you could just tell me where I'm at with time, because I just want to make sure I budget well.
Got 1 or 2 minutes left.
Okay, so documentation, just to say, this is sort of a form of a lesson plan, but the key features are designer lead: the problem, the solution, how the thing works, considerations for making it work. And actually the process account at the bottom is sort of based on Japanese lesson study, and is very useful as far as this kind of assignment within a course for knowing how things proceeded when you're not there, right? They're doing this work outside, and so the process account helps with that. Website for disseminating, it was built in Google Pages, followed the same sort of format. You can see the same idea, but there are the actual projects on the side. These are the projects, and the students produced some wonderful ideas. I won't show the video, or maybe the video will pop up and I can play it without sound. Can I do that?
I'm just going to take in reading of the line in the room.
Just drop that down. I'll just keep talking. So the main issue they identified in their first empathy moment with their client, in this case, phys ed instructor at the faculty, was, sorry, this was the physics example, was about the scientific method, actually, and how could students come to move through the iterations of the hypothesis analysis and changes in procedures. And they developed this elegant solution to what's classically the pendulum assignment in school.
Gravity on Earth.
What was really stunning about this was the work that they did. They made it through 3 iterations, which is unheard of really in this work that we were doing, where they were really looking at the materials that were involved, the coding, and the nature of the instructions that were needing to be given to students. And the last example, though, just give quickly, is this solution. What's nice to think about is, again, going back to that quote about problems, not solving, not cutting to the solution too quickly, is this group had this problem come from the instructor: how to engage physical education students in to live healthier, more active lives using microbit cycles of design we're engaged in to establish best materials and instructions. And so what they created was a heart rate monitor that actually was also a pedometer, and they coded that. And so these, you can put batteries on them and carry them around with you. But it was really this idea of making something that would help kids live healthier lives, which is this bigger problem than just let's make a pedometer. And that kind of engaging in that designerly work where you actually think and spend time on the problem as opposed to just coming up with solutions, I think is really what this work jumps forward on.